All right. What is up? Welcome back to the Frisbee Club broadcast, episode number 2, Worlds Recap. MPO final round just wrapped up literally minutes ago. Just shut it off. And it was an exciting battle. Obviously, Isaac Robinson got the job done. The guy was an absolute fucking nerd on the greens, an absolute nerd on the fairways, off the tee, everything. He just played so clean and consistent that it was his, especially, this, he obviously gave himself the lead going into this final day, and then just really didn't make any mistakes. Eagle, Matty O, and AB were pushing. They made it at least interesting, where Isaac had to really, clutch up down the stretch there to really secure the deal. But it looked pretty stress-free. I know it wasn't, but Isaac's game is just so smooth that he really just made it happen. And it was great to see. I love watching Isaac play. He's one of the smoothest backhand throwers. You guys, if you know my game and you watch the channel, I love like the hyzer flip to turnover backhand putter and mid-range shots. So as a pro player who really relies on those types of shots, love watching him play. And then he's just a nerd on the green, so watching that guy putt is just always entertaining. AB playing like an absolute dog again, taking that second place. Great to see that as well. Eagle and Matty O both going OB on 18, and then both banging putts to secure the third. When Eagle made that one, I was like, man, if Matty O does not make this putt as well, like, I'm gonna be so sad, because if you guys have watched my videos throughout the week here, Matty O was kind of like my pick. I was like, I just want to see Matty O make that career like happen, where Matty O winning Worlds, I think, would set him up for life. And he didn't quite get it done once again, but love to see him turn it up that final round, bang in C2 putts, and just playing some really solid disc golf. That's all I'm going to talk about really for most of the MPO. I'm sure you watched it, and what more is there to say than Isaac Robinson? The dude's a killer. He's a killer. When you're that confident on all your lines and you're that confident on the putting green, a lot of guys can get it done nowadays, and it's cool to see a guy who's, the whole strength of the field is so high, but when there's that winner who like takes it up even just another little notch, that's pure entertainment at its finest. Speaking of entertainment at its finest, guys, Kristen Tatar, shout out, 2-time. Everyone expected it. Had a couple people comment on my last video because I clickbaited it, like, is Kristen Tatar in trouble? No shit, she's not in trouble. Look, like, they said on the broadcast, Missy Gannon, I think, has had 2,000 rated rounds in a row. Like, she's done that one other time, and then she did that whatever the second or third day, and Kristen's round was rated exactly Missy's rating, I think. And statistically, it just like didn't matter almost that Missy was making a push, because statistically, which you never know, it just was not, there was like a 0% chance of it actually happening. And Kristen just showed how dominant she really is in this field, because you heard her in the broadcast, I'm sure, after the round, talking about how the last 3 rounds she basically felt like she didn't know how to play disc golf, and she still won by the amount she won by, and literally made the rest of the FPO field look like children, look like a bunch of FA1 players. Was absolutely, like, to be expected, but still blows my mind every time I see it happen, because it just makes no sense. But real quick, before we get more into the dominance of Kristen Tatar, because that's going to be a big topic of today's episode, can we talk about Paige Pierce being absolutely fucking delusional? Did you guys see her post on Instagram? I'm sure it was on Facebook probably, like, because I'm sure all her posts like get shared to everything. She literally was calling, it was like, I can't wait to call my maid of honor, my best friend, Missy Gannon, world champion. And I'm like, She's down by like 5 strokes to the number one player, most dominant FPO player ever to walk this earth, and you're calling her the world champion already? I'm like, are you fucking delusional? I think we already know Paige Pierce is a little delusional as of late. I respect the hell out of Paige Pierce as a player, and like when she was dominant, it was so fun to watch. I would love for her to get back to where she was in battle with Kristen. I don't think it's going to happen because Kristen is levels above where Paige ever was and ever will be. But she was literally calling Missy the world champion already. And then if you look today, her post was edited saying like, oh, I can't wait to watch the 2 best FPO players battle it out. I can't wait to watch my friend battle it out against the best FPO player in the world. I'm like, bro, you got ripped apart in the fucking comments. And then now you're backtracking. Like, just delete the post. Just delete it. I don't know. Take the L. How are you going to edit a post after calling Missy the world champion? Like, are you fucking stupid? Like, come on. But that's all for that. If you didn't see that, I'm sure if there's, I've never been on disc golf Reddit, but I gotta assume there's screenshots of the first post of her saying, you know, her initial thoughts, I guess, on Missy winning worlds. I'm sure it's out there. Sure, you can find it. Go check it out, because if you missed that, it's fucking hilarious to say the least. But few key points to take away from Worlds week, Worlds final round, I guess. What an entertaining week it has been. This has been the most glued to my phone screen that I've been in the last 5 days. Then I haven't watched coverage in months, and this Worlds was just exciting. I was excited for it. It like really sparked my love for disc golf again. It was almost good because I've been dealing with a bad hip this week, haven't thrown, and got to just sit and watch the best players in the world play and like really just like drive me up to want to get better again. But enough of that. Let's see. Crazy statistic. Paige Shue won the world championships at 6 over 5 years ago on the same property. Not the same layout. I assume maybe back in 2018, FPO potentially played the same layout as MPO. I'm not totally sure, but that could be a possibility. Either way, 6 over to what did Kristen shoot? Like a 28 under or something with like multiple layups. So it would have been like a few strokes better. Even like that's like a 35 stroke difference in that many years. The strength of field, crazy. Strength of Kristen Tatar, even fucking crazier. That shit is absolute. I can't speak English. It's so crazy. Shit's nuts. Evelina, not a ton of coverage on her as far as like the live feed this week. I'm sure if you watch some of the post production, but usually when I tune into the live, I don't watch any of the post. But what they did show of Evelina this week was very promising. The best, most confident putting that I've ever seen out of Evelina. I saw her make a few 37, like just outside of circle putts, raise basket putts. They showed a few of them where she was actually following through to the basket, and instead of that like uncontrolled just spin putt, it was like, oh damn, Evelina's got a nice little like pop going right here, and she was banging a couple putts. I think this final round they did say she had no 3 putts, so love to see it. Evelina, I feel for her. I suck at putting. She sucks at putting. Hopefully this is kind of her like putting in some of the work to try and improve a little bit here, because as we all know, Evelina is fucking cracked off the tee. And I really think if she can get to even just a normal level of FPO putting skill, I think we finally could have somebody who can battle with Kristen, and it would be 2 completely different styles of game doing the battling, which would be insane, because Evelina, I don't know what I don't think this year she's been as good, and I think she's been in Europe for a little bit like more of this season than last year, but last year she led like all the throwing stats, which is absolutely nuts for a player who's like, she's so good. If she just could putt, like if she laid up, she would probably have wins last year. Let's just put it that way. Fucking nuts. Let's see. 8th. This statistic blew my fucking mind. Now, this stuff you might have already heard if you watched the full broadcast, but if you didn't, you need to know this. 8th place finish for Kristen Tatar at the 2018 Worlds is her worst finish in 5 years. 8th place 5 years ago at Worlds was her worst finish in a disc golf tournament in 5 years. I don't look at like many statistics. I just kind of hear things and be like, oh, I gotta assume. Like I've been watching disc golf for years and years and years, and so I have a decent like knowledge of what has happened in this sport. I'm relatively knowledgeable in everything that's happened probably in the last 10 to 15 years. And when I heard that, I was like, oh, holy shit, there's no possible way that there's another FPO player that has a statistic even close to that, because I know fucking Paige Pierce will go get a win and then go take like 65th the next fucking week. Like that is absolutely insane. So I don't know, few good little statistics there, mainly about Kristin and her absolute fucking dominance. That's the title. Paige Pierce Delusion, Kristen Tatar Dominance. That's the title of this one, guys. Few other things that I kind of wanted to talk about here is the idea that Kristin doesn't throw far. And I'm going to just mix that in with the idea that I've heard so many people say like, oh, well, Kristin isn't the best at anything. She's just got a really good mental game. And I'm like, there's a lot of people in the disc golf space who I think I just think they're not that smart. Not a lot of people. I think there's just some dudes on Twitter and shit like that who are just like say shit. I'm just like, but no. Kristen Tatar clearly has the best mental game in FPO disc golf, without a doubt. You could argue she might have one of the best mental games in disc golf. And yes, that is probably one of the main reasons that she wins. But when people will be like, oh, Kristin doesn't throw far, she's not the best at anything. I'm like, have you seen Kristen Tatar play fucking disc golf? She doesn't mess up. So how are you telling me that she's not the best at anything? If you're talking, what do you want to tell me that, oh, this girl's better at throwing than Kristin is? Unless it's Evelina Salonen, I don't want to fucking hear it, because she's probably not. Plain disc golf content wouldn't be disc golf content without a plane flying over. But people would be like, oh, like on the broadcast literally today, 2 times where Holland Hanley outdrives the rest of the card by like 30 feet, and fucking Zoe and like loses her fucking mind. And then what does Holland do? Pars, and everyone else takes the birdie. I don't give a fuck about 30 feet of distance if it never matters in the end. So people saying that Kristen Tatar isn't the best at anything, she's just good at everything and then has the best mental game, which is completely true. But I would argue Kristin's the best putter in FPO. She's the best forehand upshot in FPO. If that, you give Kristen Tatar a harp anywhere within 200 feet of the basket and she's putting it inside the bullseye. Arguably the most consistent forehand. Yeah, maybe not the most distance, but once again, go watch these videos where they're like, holy shit, like they just outdrove the card by a mile. They're 30 feet further up the fairway. It doesn't fucking matter. And then they get the same score. And same with backhand. And that goes with saying that Kristin, I think, could throw further, but she chooses not to. If you watch Kristin's game, she almost never throws like hyzer flip-ups. She almost releases everything on one angle. A lot like last year's Aaron Gossage in the World Championships. You heard Nate Doss probably say it a million times about how all he does is throw one angle shots. And I think Kristin is doing the same thing. Kristin's bag, if I remember right, graces whatever the fairway driver, like a T-Bird-ish fairway driver, rives, harps. I think she throws like a verdict backhand, and then I don't know what the rest of the DD lineup is, but she's never throwing like these shots that are like flipping up to flat, turning, and then like coming back. All she does is throw pure hyzers, one angle shots, because you could argue her backhand and her forehand are equally as good. So either one doesn't really matter. And so, yeah, she might not ever get the disc up to flat and push for that extra 30, 40, 50 feet. But it's not that she can't do it. it's probably because she just knows if I throw a hyzer on every single shot, throw my harp under the basket, and make 90% of my putts, I'm winning every single tournament. And I think if the rest of the FPO field could figure that out, they'd be a lot better. I think a lot of the FPO field, like you see these girls who, hit a big hyzer flip up to flat turn, it's going, and then it's OB, or they're out of position. All this shit, whereas Kristen just goes chip, 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 and plays damn near perfect. FPO, we all know, is a game of not messing up. Kristen's changing that a little bit because you got to not mess up and make all your putts and park everything and get birdies. But if the FPO players, I think, just focused more on those one angle shots, I really, really think we would start seeing some scores get lower. Now, that might be a hot take. I don't know, and I don't really care because I think it's true. Isaac Robinson, you can argue, does the same exact thing. He's very much, well, I don't think he probably didn't throw a forehand in the entire World Championships. Another insane thing is that 2 players in the last 4 years have won a World Championships not throwing a forehand. Nuts. But Isaac Robinson, very similar. And he obviously doesn't have that separation in the field like Kristen does with the FPO, but he still focuses on putting the disc on a line and just making it very accurate. Yeah, when he wants to get up on one, he can, his distance is up there. It's not anywhere near the top. Oh, no, you don't hear anyone saying, oh, Isaac Robinson doesn't throw far. Then why is everyone saying Kristen Tatar doesn't throw far? Just kind of just blows my mind. But I really think that is just FPO. I really think just focus on those one angle type shots. That being said, another kind of idea or thought that I had, and I saw a couple other people, Boss Nate Doss, I think it is, on Twitter, actually tweeted it, and I was like, holy shit, I've been thinking this the whole week, is that McBeast mode just isn't really a thing anymore. I think back when McBeast mode actually happened, when you'd see Paul have these comeback victories, it's because simply put, the strength of the field was just less. And that's not to say those wins weren't impressive, because they are some of the, if you're a COVID golfer and you never got to live through the true dominance of Paul McBeth, where anything inside 100 feet you thought was going in the basket, and he made disc golf look, I would argue, easier than it's ever looked before. First off, go this offseason, take a little walk through history and go try and consume as much 2012 through 2016 Paul McBeth footage as you can, I guess is what I would say, and go watch that stuff. But nowadays, the strength of the field just doesn't allow for it. And so as much as I would have loved to see Paul McBeth win a world championship this year, or even come back to take second, when you got 15 guys all within 3, 4, 5 strokes, where one bogey drops you 10 spots, one birdie launches you up 10 spots, McBeast mode basically would rely on 10 guys absolutely shitting the bed, and then a guy needing to shoot 13, 14, 15 under par, then McBeast mode could happen. But are you really going to bet against 10 of the top disc golfers in the world to play so bad all collectively to allow for something like that to happen? I don't think so. So I kind of think we're past the era of McBeast mode being a legitimate thing, which unfortunate, because I remember watching that shit happen, and it was the coolest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. When you would go to sleep the night before a final round on Sunday, Paul would be 6 strokes back on chase card, and in your head you're just like, yeah, Paul wins tomorrow, obviously, it's Paul McBeth. And I don't think that can ever be a thing really anymore, because there's just too many players that are too damn good at disc golf. And so, staying on the strength of field topic, I want to talk about a thing that I had this idea pop into my head about how if you took the strength of field in FPO 5 years ago, let's say it was right here. Currently, it's right here. And Kristen Tatar is right here. I have this theory that when Kristen Tatar decides to maybe take a step back or retire, because she's made it known that disc golf isn't necessarily she doesn't seem like the type of player who's just going to dominate for the next 10 years and just play for the rest of her life. She kind of seems like she's going to do her time, dominate, and then kind of maybe take a back seat and focus on other things in life. She seems to be very well-rounded mentally in terms of like what she wants out of her life. And I have this theory that when Kristin eventually retires, I don't think the strength of field will have risen to the same level as Kristin. So when Kristin retires or takes a back seat, the field strength goes back to probably equal to where it is right now. And I think the one thing that could change that is a huge crop of hopeful, like, female athletes that take up disc golf at a young age. Basically, I guess what I'm trying to say here is we need a crop of Gannon Burrs. We need some Cora Dollins. We need some Evan Scotts. We need, who the hell are all these other young guys? We need that, but in FPO. We need some players that are absolute, that are doing things at a young age that we've never seen before. We need some of them to come into the FPO field to, I think, really, really skyrocket that strength of field. And I think we need some true, like, athletes to come into the sport to really, like, make the FPO field at that Kristen Tatar level, but like a whole group of them. I want to see 10, 15, 20 Kristen Tatars, kind of like we have in MPO right now, where, yes, there's some players, Kelvin Heimberg, Gannon Burr, could argue Isaac Robinson sometimes. Like, there's these players who most of the time are on a little bit higher level, but you do have maybe 20 to 25 guys right now who, if any of them won, you would not be surprised. You'd be like, yep, makes sense. And that's what we need in the FPO field. I don't know if we'll ever see the dominance of Kristen Tatar again. Who knows? She's probably going to become 1,000 rated this season. Did well this weekend to make that happen a little sooner. And it'll be interesting to see if Kristin gets 1,000 rated, and then in the future, how many more 1,000 rated females, happen, I guess. Because you would hope that maybe that opens the floodgates for the FPO players to be like, holy shit, it's possible. Because it just hasn't ever seemed possible. But if Kristin does it, it could potentially flip that switch for some of these females who have that true killer instinct and that mindset to be like, oh shit, it's possible. 1,000 rated females. And I know ratings are all fucking all over the place, but I just think when it's all said and done, Kristin's dominance of what she's doing right now, it's going to be hard to see if that'll ever be matched. It wouldn't be a Worlds recap without talking about Paul McBeth. I'll be honest, didn't see where he finished. I literally shut off the coverage, came out here and started filming this. But unfortunately, the streak of first or second places comes to an end. Who knows if we'll see Paul again this year? I kind of think we'll see him at USDGC. I just don't see Paul sitting out a major. We got to see these damn players. They're getting hurt. They're getting all these injuries. Kyle Klein with his back this year. Paul, Eagle, Simon, all these guys getting injured. And I really think disc golf needs to take that next step to make these players healthy, because it would suck to see Paul McBeth like kind of dwindle out of his career, basically just like fighting an injury, and then eventually, kind of ending on like not a good note. I would hate to see Paul try and play for 3-4 more seasons, 10 more seasons, who knows, and just be kind of injured the whole time, and never really get to cap off his career. But yeah, the Paul McBeth dominance, I guess you can say, has come to an end. I think if we see a healthy Paul next year, I have no doubts that we'll be right back into the same shit once again. I would hope to see that. But anyways, guys, hope you enjoyed the Worlds recap. Hope you enjoyed the World Championships. Man, what a week. I was very entertained, to say the least. I think it was a fantastic weekend of disc golf. Awesome to see LL Bean step it up and bring, I think they said, the second largest payout in disc golf, and $30K for Isaac Robinson, $15 for Kristin. fucking, it's, so many players in disc golf probably make like 30 grand a year. And then now you could win the world championships and win 30 grand, which also sounds fucking horrible compared to other sports, but it's disc golf. Money ain't here yet. But anyways, that's pretty much going to do it, I think, for this one. Side note, my hip feeling a little bit better. Feeling pretty good today. I did like 10, 15 throws yesterday because it just randomly overnight, like the shooting aching pain in my hip like kind of went away, and then it didn't feel great yesterday, but I'm like, I want to see how this actually feels. And it didn't hurt while throwing it all, but I was like a little scared. And so literally right now I'm going to go do some more field work, and hopefully this week we'll be back to some more regular content back out on the course, throwing some Frisbees, because I kind of miss it. I haven't played around in like a week now. So anyways, guys, that was the Frisbee Club BRODcast, episode number 2, Worlds Recap. Thank you for watching. We will see you in the next one. Where'd all the time